we have, our top closing conversation here with Nomzamo, who also last night, you did an amazing job emceeing.
I have no voice.
Yes. But Nomzamo came through anyway, and that's who she is. I've known her a while, and she's a woman of her word. And so with a scratchy voice, here we go now. Nomzamo, have you? I'll even ask the audience. Have you ever seen those like television interviews where they take an old picture of the person and show it to them and embarrass them?
Are you about to do that to me?
I think we are.
Oh, no.
Now, what do you think? Did you have braces growing up?
Never.
No, of course not. Those are great teeth. Did you have, were you awkward ever? Or you always, put together? We'll see. All right, if we put up on the screen, the embarrassing photo.
Oh, no. Randall,
this is
I thought we were onto a good start here.
LinkedIn profile that I found this morning. Nomzamo, you are still on LinkedIn because I know you were an accountant or you studied accounting. I'm like, can that be true? Nomzamo, this doesn't strike me as an accountant. And that is you, right? You're from Durban. That must be you.
I think so.
That is you.
That doesn't even count. Oh, God.
So you were an accountant. You were a junior accountant, an accountant trainee, and you're still up there. So by the way, if you want to be LinkedIn friends with Nomzamo, and you need your taxes done, you're ready to go. All right, so the question is, listen, you went to CTU, right?
Yeah, UCT.
So UCT.
Any UCT people in the house? Hey!
Yes. That's like a super good school. So you were a nerd. You were a nerd at this great school studying accounting.
I still am a nerd. By the way, Dumelang, Sanbanani, hello, hola. Hi, everyone. I was.
So what's a nerd like you doing in all these big TV series and movies and all the things you do? How did you transition so quickly from nerd to superstar here?
Randall, I think my teachers always used to say to me that I would become like a newsreader, and then I would think to myself, that's so boring. But by the way, I respect newsreaders because that's a tough job. And then it would be you're going to be the first female president because you're so outspoken. And then all the naughty kids at school would call me Big Mouth because I was always doing public speaking, but I was always very much an academic. Yes. And so for me, it was always the Shakespeare thing, passion versus reason. The reason was, go and study something where I can be able to take care of my family, which was accounting. And I was really good in numbers, still am, still counting and negotiating my contracts. And then also, the passion was just people. I've always been in the business of people. I've always loved people. I've always loved interacting with people. I knew that being in an office space in corporate, I knew I was going to suffer there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And look where you are now, about 12 years later. Tell us about now, we have some good news. Your show got renewed. Tell us about this. This is exciting news.
Yeah. So, look, it's been many years in the making. It's the story of Shaka Zulu, but most importantly, it's the story of Nguni people. We wanted to tell a story that was much broader than just around an individual. We wanted to be able to really show who we are as a people when it comes to the different languages and cultures and people that have made up, the beautiful cultures that we get to celebrate in Southern Africa and all the way through to your South Sudan as well, because you find Nguni people there as well. So when we started many years ago, I was still just an actress who was going to be vying for one of the parts, but as we grew into the creative space with Bomb Productions, there was then the conversation of coming on board as an executive producer, which I was very nervous about because I kind of was okay with just being an actress on set who complains
but they
about
found
everything.
out you had your accounting degree, they're like,
and then it was like, so you kind of know about business. And also always just having different things about the story and the creative process and how to make money and how to really galvanize in terms of raising the funds to make this kind of story. So then it happened, and I joined as an EP, and then I also joined as Nandi. And we went out last year, June, and it was highly successful. It was well received. People loved it. People loved the story. It was the first time that we got to see a story of that scale, of magnitude. People love the beauty of Shaka Zulu, of Shaka iLembe, I should probably say. And also we wanted to be very authentic to the story. So obviously when we went out, everybody really, really loved it. And we got renewed for a second season. And now we're back at the Cradle of Humankind. If you haven't been to the Cradle of Humankind in Johannesburg, you've got to go see it.
It's about an hour and a half
unbelievable.
south of here.
It's so
2 hours
beautiful.
south of here,
And so we're there. We're shooting there every day in that dust. But beautiful stuff, just knowing that you're part of something that's really great and something that is going to be in existence.
No,
for
I've been there,
centuries.
and you feel the connection, the humanity just.
We do. I mean, so many people had like spiritual encounters as well.
Yeah, I believe it. So last time we were hanging out, first, you were so good at emceeing last night. I told you this, and it reminded me, the last time we were hanging out, we were at Davos, at the World Economic Forum, and I was watching you interact with top world leaders, with, Kagame, or whether it's, we were at the, President of the President of Ghana, CEOs, and there's a confidence about you that's just, it's so natural. Has that been developed, or were you born with that?
I'll probably say it's a bit of both. My grandmother always used to say that people are like the fingers on your hand, that they're not very equal, but you must treat them very equally. So I always say to people that for me, it's important to be able to be relatable to the man who's waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning and catching the train, as much as I can be relatable to the guy who is running a multi-billion-dollar corporation, or even a president of a country. To be able to still be the same Nomzamo, to still be able to give of myself, to still be able to be in the business of just like people, and treating people equally. It's you watch some people, and some people don't do that. Right. Some people kind of like look away if somebody is the cleaner at a building, but they'll be able to respect somebody who's running a certain department, and I don't believe in that. So I guess that's.
I always think that's a good measure of a person.
So shout out to my grandmama.
That's right. That's respect. We have a bunch of questions from the audience. They're flying in quickly. What drives you the most? Money, impact, fame, other?
Not having money is an inconvenience. But what genuinely drives me is impact. I think if I have all the things that I have, if I have all these achievements, and I'm on television and I do all the kinds of work that I do, but I still don't impact my society, I don't impact people around me, then I'm just but an empty vessel. I don't feel like I'm successful in anything. And I think that's why, so many people ask me, what makes you still come back? You have your career that you're pursuing and continuing to build on in Hollywood, but you still come back and you're helping to build schools in South Africa. You're still going to refugee camps and doing humanitarian work and field work, which is really, really tough. And for me, it's just important to be able to still have my feet on the ground.
Yep.
To know that I've made an impact in somebody's life, because there's no glory, as I like to say, there's no glory in being the single success story. Okay. Where we come from a continent of so many people that continue to be left behind, and so many areas and communities that continue to be marginalized, and to kind of be the girl who's just, not looking back, I don't know, or looking around. That's what it is, looking around.
You look around, you make an impact, the money follows. You make an impact, the money follows.
Yeah.
So tell us about some of your work with, you do a lot of great work, I've seen it. So tell us about your work with the UN.
Oh, that work, gosh, it is my heart's true north. It really is. I've always wanted to work with the United Nations. I've always thought that I'd go into UNAIDS, because growing up, I was just very much exposed to the HIV and AIDS epidemic, and a lot of my family members were affected by it, and I became a primary caregiver for so many of them. And so I was very much exposed and very much given the knowledge on ARVs and given the knowledge on the disease. So I thought, if ever I had to work for an agency at the UN, it would be UNAIDS. But when I connect the dots looking back, as the late Steve Jobs likes to say, is that I look at my very first time that I left South Africa. I was 14 years old. I was selected to go and represent my country, and it was Save the Children Sweden, because they used to have different agencies at the time that were like countries. And Save the Children Sweden had this huge conference that they were going to do in Kenya, where they were inviting kids from each country. So when I first got to Kenya, it was the first time I get to use my passport, and I get there and I'm like, oh, kids from Sudan, kids from the DRC, all these different languages, all our different faces coming together and speaking about the things that we go through as young people in the country. And that's how I'm like, oh, it makes sense that I went into the Refugee Agency of the United Nations, because I learned from very early on about just what the things that make us different, but the things that make us kin.
That's right. We got to know each other through your work with Global Citizen.
Yes.
How did you get involved with that, and what do you like about GC?
Oh, did you tell everyone that you were dragging me through the snow? Or you forgot that part?
I noticed that Africans aren't as good in the snow as others.
Woo,
so.
Have you felt our heat? Have you felt our sun? Did you see the sunset outside?
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
No, so Global Citizen approached me because of the work that I do with the United Nations Refugee Agency, which is UNHCR, and also the work that I do with my nonprofit, which is the Nomzamo Lighthouse Foundation, where we support kids who are in primary and high school, but also tertiary level students who are studying towards the STEM disciplines. So if you have any students, or if you know of anyone who's really smart in the science and STEM, please reach out to the Lighthouse Foundation. We're constantly looking for young people to sponsor. And so I guess that's how Global Citizen happened. But also I liked the principles of Global Citizen and the things that they stand for, and also using the idea of pop culture and entertainment to galvanize young people and to galvanize people around the world to hold leaders accountable. So it's not really just about saying, oh, let's raise funds and do it, but we are the ones who vote for people, and these people get these positions and they get put into power, so why not hold them accountable?
Hold them accountable to end extreme poverty, which we need to do
and
in Africa and the world.
Poverty by 2030, but
we only have 6 years, but we can make a big dent, and like you said, that's about impact. We got a couple minutes left. There are a bunch of questions. Why don't we do it like rapid fire here? All right, you're producing the most expensive South African TV production ever. Again, just got renewed. Do you believe that African television will this help African television get those kind of Hollywood budgets?
100%. I had a conversation with Ted Sarando last year in December, and I asked him, and we were talking about, what it is that he's looking for on the African continent and what it is that we are supposed to be making. And he said, if something is not hyper-local anywhere in Thank you. So if something's not hyper-local, people have to believe in the product. The people on the ground, the people on the continent have to believe in a Shaka iLembe, so that when they are coming into the landscape, they want to know, like K-dramas and all these like incredible Southeast Asian productions that are coming out, they're popular on the ground, and that's what makes them work globally. So the reason why we continue to show that you must invest, not just like cut costs, but invest fully, so that we can be able to see the return on investment. And the return on investment is not only making stuff that we can equally be equal players in the world. When they're talking about your Game of Thrones, which are very expensive shows to make, we also have Shaka iLembe. But also you see the commercial viability of African stories. So continue to write, continue to put together those pitch decks, and continue to put together something that not only is of a small scale, but also dream big. We deserve it.
I mean, the power of storytelling, of course, it's so immense. I mean, if you look at things like even Black Panther, which is kind of it's a parallel fiction, but it normalizes the idea of a strong Africa.
100%.
And that's exactly what you're doing. So there's even impact in the storytelling.
Absolutely.
You can have more impact in storytelling.
Do you know what I call it? I call it like a little curtain pull. When you get a Black is King by your Beyonce, if you get a Lion King, which has been so highly successful for so many decades, and then you get a Black Panther, it's a little curtain for the world to pull it like this and say, hey, this works.
Right.
Because for so long, the narrative has been that African stories cannot sell globally, but African stories do have a global audience.
Yes, that's right. And you even see that. You're seeing that right now with music, with Afro beats.
Oh.
And now it's TV and movies. Do you like TV more or movies? You've done a bunch of both.
I like a good movie. I like a good movie. I mean, I sat through 3 hours of Oppenheimer, you know? So I like a good movie, but series is also a good thing. It's just that I don't have much time right now because I'm constantly like working and traveling. But I love movies.
Maybe a time for 1, 2 more, and then we're gonna.
Okay.
Will you stay and we can present the pitch battle winner together with Brett?
I'm terrible at that stuff
You
because
just-
I'll tell you why. Because I just want everyone to win.
Everyone, by the way, everyone did win because they all got exposure, and that's the key to this. Again, going back to your confidence, can you teach confidence?
Yes, you can. You can. Because when you watch someone who is settled in themselves, when you watch someone who is uninterrupted in themselves, when you watch someone who is seated in the seat of their own soul, it inspires you to be exactly like that in your own way, not like they are. But I definitely think that confidence can be taught. I've seen it. I've seen people come out of their shell because somebody taught them that they can.
Well, related question. You, of course, first got famous in South Africa with the MTV surge.
I did.
And so there's a question from Kim about whether or not putting yourself out there. How important was that? And how hard was that for you to do that when you were still a junior accountant?
Yeah. It was so difficult. I almost did not go to those auditions because I thought, number one, I was not cool. Because a friend of mine was, oh, you should enter. And I said, I am not cool. Nobody wants to listen to me. I'm so boring. And then I just thought, I don't have fly clothes. I don't look fly. And all the other kids who were there entering this competition were so fly. And I was just not fly.
You had a calculator.
Oh, but I got into that room, and my first audition, I just thought to myself, girl, if you don't have it, fake it till you make it. And I got into that room and I said, oh, I see you're taking I see everybody's got 3 seconds in here. I'm about to take 30 minutes of your time. And everybody just laughed in the room. And immediately I was disarmed, so I wasn't so nervous. And then it was just like a conversation. And I remember Tim Horwood was just like, get out of here. You already know. Just get out of here. And that kind of just made me feel so confident in myself. But I definitely did not believe in myself. But I also know, and the thing about the VJ search, Randall, is the fact that I didn't win it. But I remember just waking up, I was like, whoa, I'm top 10 in the country. Gosh, now people have to vote for me? Ooh, okay. And then I was top 3, right? And it was never my dream to be famous. Yeah. But then I got to top 3 in the country, and everyone was voting, and everyone was like really believing in this dream. And I was like, oh, I gotta win now because so many people are on this bandwagon. Yeah. But here's the thing, I didn't win. But what I told myself was, I remember like in that moment when the winner was announced and she deserved it, I remember just saying, God, thank you for this no. I know you're preparing me for an even greater yes. And I got the biggest yes of my life because of that show that I didn't even win on, but I put myself out there. That's how I was actually scouted, and it became the biggest show on the continent, Isibaya, that went on for 8 seasons, and it was all over the African continent. And then I was like this nobody accountant girl into who you get to experience today.
First, I want everyone to give a hand to Nomzamo, who's not just a great professional, but a great human. So thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you for everything you do.